Scorpio to channel the future tarot. Today, I feel like you're really having to sort of find the key to let go of sort of the prison that you kind of put yourself in your own making there, Scorpio. This is a time of transformation, and we're going to unlock it in the Tower Tarot spread. This will be for the Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs of Scorpio. Take what resonates with you and toss the universe. What does not, it's not meant for you, and that is completely okay. As I was meditating on your energies, I did a smudge. As you can see, we're going to use a singing bowl, taking that deep breath in and then exhaling whenever you feel so inclined to do so. So Scorpio, it's just going to help you kind of balance your energy and prepare for the messages, okay? Let's get started. Peace, love, health, and wealth, Scorpio. Well, as a sign of transformation, doesn't mean you necessarily love it a whole bunch. And I feel like, Scorpio, right now, this is a time of understanding exactly how you're transforming, what's deep inside of you in terms of your own wishes. What are you really searching for, right? And this is a time of deep contemplation, Scorpio, one that requires you to find your own inner strength and solitude. You know, I feel like this sacred pool for you, Scorpio, as you can see that image right there, as a water sign, you're deeply connected to the power of your intuition, and this is where it's saying reevaluate. You're looking at your life and how far you've come, you know, your blessings, your trials and tribulations, and you're reassessing your goals and your values right now, Scorpio. You know, are your actions completely sort of in alignment? You know, have you created partnerships that are mutually beneficial? You know, there's separation, disillusion. You know, these are all things that can become in focus if we allow them to be, right? If someone's kind of wishing to break away from you, I feel like you can't allow don't chase anybody and allow things to happen. But I feel like the price you're going to pay won't be worth the prize if you do so. But I feel like sometimes separation does bring good fortune in some ways, but this is, like I said, a real shape-shifting time for you. And as I say that, you literally had that 30 making a choice coming out here, and then there's that shapeshifter, but it is coming out in reverse. Now, Scorpio, why this is coming in to be in reverse is because I feel like you have to take an honest, you know, when you're making a choice, and I think you've been trying to do so for, you know, you're being required to make a decision right now, but you know, you don't want to let anybody else make this choice for you. It doesn't make things easier. Don't compromise because you're afraid of facing consequences of your choices, even if you've opted for a difficult path. Again, Scorpio, you can always start over and make another choice. You know, there's a great power in reclaiming your ability to choose. No one takes that away from you, no matter what. And you can't just give that power away. If you're, you know, you have to really be rigorously honest with yourself, Scorpio, about your motives behind your choices. You may need to see, you know, to see that things need to change in some way. You can sort of change course and choose another route. You know, you have to be willing to clean up what you left behind. There's a sense of ownership there. But like this magical map shifter coming out in reverse, I feel like you've been sort of out of alignment for some time, questioning, just almost in a sense of numbness, Scorpio, because you just don't know where to sort of go in a way. This is, you know, kinds of brings you the opposite of what you seek, essentially, right? There's a sense of denial about a situation or a refusal to see truth here. You know, maybe you've been traveling down a path that's constantly led to you to nothing, right? And you have, you know, to have the life you really want, Scorpio, you have to match that vibrational energy. Sounds cliche. It's true. You have to resonate with it. Sometimes our greatest hurts and disappointments are what awaken us that need to shift to that higher frequency. You know, if your heart's aching because someone's breaking it, this discomfort leads you to a more authentic life, right? Don't linger in the pain or blame, you know, anybody else for you clinging to the illusion, right? That's harsh, but it's true, right? Know the treasure comes elsewhere, and it can be recovered once you've healed the wound that's reflected in those that come to you as catalysts of growth, right? as you experience yourself transforming, you're going to that better version of yourself, you're going to come to understand that you're always, you know, beneficial when those people come into our life, because they change the course correction, and for good reason. There's a need to change there, Scorpio, and that's happening powerfully for you at this time. The inner sense, look at that, you're really getting, like I said, that inner intuition, that moment. Like, I feel like it's like this epiphany moment happening for you today. As you quiet the noise of your mind, you become aware of the voices of your heart. You listen closely to your inner voice, trust yourself, and develop confidence in your intuition. Your inner truth is divine truth. Allow it to influence and guide you every day, Scorpio. Yes, that's exactly what you need to do. These full moon, okay, you got that full moon eclipse. We did just have a full moon, not an eclipse, but in Libra. Conclusions are within reach. Things are coming full circle, Scorpio. It is, and it feels uneasy. It feels rocky. It feels like things are being stripped away, but it's for your best. And then you have meditate and contemplate here. That is the new moon in Pisces. We have that new moon in Taurus coming on the 27th. Scorpio, that's a powerful energy for you to really set your intentions for a positive and new, you know, chapter beginning. Let's dive into this Tower Tarot spread. Now, cards 1 to 4 will represent that structure. 1 being sort of what is being challenged, stripped away, you know, from you at this time. Y is number 2. Number 3 is how you can ease the transition, Scorpio. And 4 is what lesson is in the shake-up, if I can learn how to talk. So, Scorpio, what's coming in? And cards 5 to 7 will be the lightning strike. And 5 will be the release. 6 will be rethinking. And 7 will be the rebuild, okay? Then we'll clarify them to wrap it all up. Scorpio, Scorpio, Scorpio. What's coming in for Scorpio's Tower moment? Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, Sons of Scorpio. What foundational beliefs, principles, or structures are being changed for Scorpio? There's that death card right there. Scorpio, like I said, transforming, but embracing the change. Not sort of, you know, you're looking at, yeah, you're hurt, you're wounded. I feel like a real wounded warrior moment happening for you, Scorpio. But a powerful one at that. So what structures are being challenged for Scorpio? Sun, Rising, Venus, and Scorpio. Okay, if I can get that card out. We have that Knight of Swords coming out for you, Scorpio. Look at that. Determination. You are charging forward in something. There's a very, you know, I feel like there's a lot of anger. That's fight stance, and you are, you know, very much intellectually going towards something this week, full throttle, okay? Why is this being challenged for Scorpio? Why is this being challenged for Scorpio? You got that devil in there with that 5 of Cups. Could be dealing with a devilish energy. I feel like there is somebody that sort of represents, you know, toxicity there. Got that Knight of Wands, okay? So why this is kind of being challenged for you is because you were, again, stuck in a prison of your own making, Scorpio. There's a real sense of you can get through it, but only when you're ready to. And I feel like, Scorpio, you can heal anything faster than you want anybody. You can walk, you can turn, but when it comes down to it, when you have to work through the process of the emotions for yourself, it's a little harder than you think. What you put off to everybody else doesn't necessarily mean what you're reflecting on the inside. It's just what you're allowing the world to see in terms of, you know, healing and how you're going forward, right? How can Scorpio ease this transition? That Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so getting in touch, just being, you know, I want to say nurturing, kind. You can ease this transition by focusing on your pentacles, your money, your wealth as well. You know, work, being grounded as well, focusing, meditating is going to be really important for you this week, Scorpio, coming out through this Tower moment, because it is going to allow you to, you know, process and handle things coming at you. Look, you got the Tower card right there. Process the things that are coming at you in a much more efficient, emotional, you know, way than sort of just losing your shit at the end of it. So, what is the lesson in this shake-up for Scorpio? Oh, that Queen of Swords. Okay, so you got double queens out. This is a very you know, the lesson for me that she's sort of automatically depicting is that ability to turn it back. When is finally necessary for you to walk away from something or quit or intellectually just sort of tap out of that energy, no longer you allow it to serve your purpose. You know, she's very grounded, she's, you know, but she's also ready to fuck someone up at the end of the day if they're not willing to come in, you know, right. So yeah, the lesson here for you is to know when to fold them, you know, when to cut the ties. And it is a hard thing to do for Scorpio, especially because you can really hold on to things and put things in, you know, your heart into it for longer than needed. You're an emotional sign. So let's look at the lightning strike. What's in the release for Scorpio? That King of Pentacles. So it's a power couple. It could represent a power couple in some ways, but it could have felt like it was a very, you know, in this release is that, yeah, just a thought of what was, right? And that an energetic relationship of some kind that just wasn't what you thought. What is in the rethink for Scorpio? It could be releasing some sort of earth sign as well. Energy, you have that as well because that is in a release position. You have that Three of Wands looking towards the future. This is what you need to rethink is the future and going forward, Scorpio. How you're going to, you know, do that. What changes do you need to make in terms of your own emotional well-being and you know, health, your inner sense, following, you know, your own sacred reverence. You're really getting to know yourself on a deeper level because I feel like you're also healing and accepting, you know, flaws, good things and bad about yourself at this time, Scorpio. That Ten of Swords, oh shit, the rebuild, I feel like that's what, Scorpio, that rebuild has to come off the fact that you have to accept what is. This is sort of, part of you accepts, but part of you sort of ignores it, wants to not to wholeheartedly believe it. There's a sense of that. The Three of Cups on the bottom of the deck, incoming energy, as well as that Knight of Cups. I'm going to clarify this energy, Scorpio, and then we'll break it all down. Can I clarify that Knight of Swords for Scorpio, please? Clarifying that Knight of Swords for Scorpio. Accepting something that you know wholeheartedly didn't want to, it is sometimes hard, right? It's but you have to do so to get to the other side. That Hangman coming out in reverse. Time to come out of isolation. You've done your sort of due diligence in that process. You can't, you know, I feel like you're locked in a state of perpetual healing almost. Can I clarify that Nine of Wands? I feel like there's a sign of like waiting for you to, you're almost waiting for that obvious inclination that you're healed and ready to go, and I feel like that's just not going to be the way you experience it. Four of Wands coming out in reverse with the underneath that Nine of Wands. So this is again about foundations. Why this is coming down is what foundations have you put all into and see no results. It's like Queen of Pentacles. Can we clarify that Queen of Pentacles for Scorpio? Clarifying that Queen of Pentacles for Scorpio. Yeah, the Three of Swords in reverse. So it's about, you know, heartbreak and loss, right? And then essentially how you can ease this is sort of let go of, you know, holding on to it, right? Start to change the narrative for yourself, Scorpio. Start to change the way you think about it. Start, and how often you think about it, change the course of this, the direction that this heartbreak is going in, right? Queen of Swords, please. Clarifying that Queen of Swords. The Magician in reverse. You've got to, exactly, you've got to change, you've got mindset, manifest and believe it, right? You've got to really change the course of this pain, Scorpio. Really, truly. Clarifying that King of Pentacles for you, Scorpio. Seven of Cups, well, in reverse. That is Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy, but this is again indecision. Somebody's been very indecisive. And it's causing you to be indecisive. Nobody can make a real accurate decision there. There's a sense of too many choices also, or Let me clarify that. Three of Wands. Justice in reverse, Libra energy. The lack of balance that's in here, this is what you need to rethink. You need to balance head and heart, Scorpio, and focus on one thing, not three things, and wondering how and why they're not working out there, Scorpio. Can I clarify that 10 of Swords here? Clarifying that 10 of Swords for Scorpio. Clarifying 10 of Swords for Scorpio. The Four of Swords, worry. This is you kind of worrying. Again, you're in your head. You're over-analyzing something. Your sleepless nights because you were literally thinking and worrying about the betrayal that happened. Is it going to happen again? You got the Lovers on the bottom of the deck as well as that Page of Swords. Scorpio, I feel like there's a lot of bitter, sort of guarded energy here. I hate to say it like that, but there is. There's an energy of, you know, charging too fast towards something because of a sense of almost wanting to just, there's an anger here that's sort of next level. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, this is learning how to be mindful, Scorpio. You know, focus on your breath, right? And, you know, each time your attention wanders, which it will, you have to be directed to continuously return to the attention to, you know, your breath, right? This is, you know, the Knight of Swords is surrounded by, you know, jagged clouds, and they have a distinct shape, right? And it's suggesting that there's a kind of distraction that's quite intense, tough to ignore for you, Scorpio. I feel like, you know, you are charging forward, but you're fixed on with this laser-like sort of focus, you know, that mindfulness does help with in practice, but the path towards what's precious is paved with endless sort of bids for our attention, right? Though, you know, practices that build our capacity to, you know, to focus, we build that mental muscle that's needed to sort of, you know, resist getting pulled too far out of where we don't belong, right? Even when the clouds are jagged and the thunder's loud, even when there's anxiety, loneliness, lust, grief, guilt, you can sort of commit and accept to what you need in order to stay the course. Fix that gaze and keep going. And because right now you've been stuck in limbo, you've been stuck in stagnance, and universe is bringing this tower moment in, Scorpio, because you need to change perspective. Coming out of the loneliness state where you thought, okay, yes, being alone helped you gain some things. Maybe after a sense of betrayal, you needed that time to contemplate and believe again. But, you know, that sense of feeling like you're stuck in a limbo here, Scorpio, surrender to the process, right? Trust what is. This is a period of pause that is for your highest good. You know, there's new perspectives that are becoming visible to you if you open yourself up to them, Scorpio, and not keep yourself, you know, stuck, right? Why this is coming in, that Nine of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, this is coming in, Scorpio, because again, you have to change your thought process on something, right? These are sometimes self-help books comes to mind when I see that Nine of Wands. But this is, you know, the Nine of Wands is appearing to be hurt. You're built a wall to keep out those intruders, Scorpio. But there's sort of a rift with gaps. There, you know, therefore it's not enough to relieve them from your, you know, everybody coming at you. It's also possible for a boundary to be too strong, right? That rigid boundary mitigates that need to scan for threats, but it does block intimacy and connection with others in the process, Scorpio. Boundaries often involve, you know, experimentation. It's not easy, right? Hence this person's visible exhaustion in this card. It's worth it because, you know, identifying, communicating, and upholding a boundary is not only about self-protection, it also protects others from the possibility that you could totally lose your shit because you said yes when you should have said no, right? So coming up against a boundary is distressing, but it, you know, for someone who's not expecting it, but I like to think it makes everybody safer at the end of the day, right? You know, a healthy boundary helps others know just what to expect from you, even if it means if they choose not to engage with you, right? They know the boundary's there. And I feel like, Scorpio, right now, you're making your boundaries quite loud and strong, and you have been. And this is sort of why I feel like there has to be a little bit of a course correction. You've been a little bit rigid, very much so, and I feel like it's causing some conflict. there's instability in that home, right? With that Four of Wands in reverse, there's, you know, a transition maybe to a new home, but you have to settle, you do what you can to sort of settle in, Scorpio, ground yourself in your current environment, even if it's temporary place. Scorpio, this is something that is hard for you to do. As much as you know, change is your thing, you know, stability is more, right? And something that, you know, most people don't necessarily understand. That Queen of Pentacles coming in and how to ease this transition, Scorpio, is exactly that. You can ease this transition by, you know, this is all about being entwined with the physical domain of our experience, right? But I think this is an energy of being sort of having that sort of important combination of acceptance, commitment, you know, and behaving as though you know what is indeed precious to you and what is worth working hard for, right? And I feel like this is that ambition of matters to take part, right, in what is important for you. And this is one of the best ways that I feel like you can describe, you know, is value-driven action, right? The desire to create a better world around you, Scorpio, and for yourself is what's really kind of what you need to do to ease yourself out of this pain. This Three of Swords coming in reverse is exactly that. Move yourself out of pain. It's not believing that all you're going to get is pain sort of energy. And I know that it's hard to do that sometimes. You're very sensitive to others' words right now. That need to develop that thick skin is there, but you have to let go of the hurt. It is holding you back, Scorpio. Look at what triggers your feelings and work on those core issues so that they're not being triggered so easily next time. You know, this is something it's time to focus on your mental and emotional well-being. This Queen of Swords is what the lesson in the shakeup is exactly that, protecting your mental well-being, knowing that not everybody requires an explanation and, you know, of what is happening. You just sometimes you don't need to do it, right? You know, the capacity to separate ourselves is incredibly useful, but it also causes problems, as we know. The sword is naturally literal and does great with explicit tasks, but it seems that there's more to using it properly than what exists on the surface. You know what I'm saying? To know that physical difference between a seed and a piece of dirt, for instance, would not sort of be sufficient to complete an impossible task, but something deeper is needed, right? A deeper knowing comes with experience or age is what I'm trying to get at here. So I feel like this is not being cold and unfeeling, but the clouds at her feet, this is you being, you know, you're telling a different story, right? She's receptive here. So I feel like this is a tumultuous inner life that you've experienced, right? You know, your openness and capacity to you know, wield that sword has been sort of wisely hard won, Scorpio. And I feel like as time goes on, we do become wiser through the things we experience, but we sort of also gather emotional secrets as we go. And we develop that capacity to separate what that is, our own imagined felt things, into knowledge. And that aids us into making good choices for ourselves. When we combine our intuition, our self-experience, our life experience, and that helps us make better choices. You learn how to sift through the dirt, right? Yes, right? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what I'm getting at. This Magician here in reverse is changing, alchemizing, shifting your perspective on so many things is required for you now, Scorpio. You're discovering what you want to manifest without taking action quite yet. You're uncertain if you have the tools you need, and you're going to see focus and learn while you wait. And that's not a bad thing, Scorpio. But don't stay stuck too long. This King of Pentacles is in the release. It's Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn energy. But this is a release of some kind that's detrimental for your health here. I want to say, you know, this is a sense of competence is something that sort of requires the wisdom to know the difference between the things within our grasp and those beyond it, between what we cannot change and what we can. It's like the prayer. But when we stop sort of owning our own power and start believing that we don't have choices in how we want to act regardless of what someone else is or isn't doing, right? Unmanageability is, in other words, the King of Pentacles competence, right? So I feel like it's good, and when you find yourself changing or clinging to something that's making you feel powerless, what do you need to take care of yourself right now, Scorpio, is what you need to ask. You need to release the power that you've been giving away Open up yourself to what is possible. That Four of Cups is suggesting, yeah, you're looking too much, focusing on the spilled cups, Scorpio, the pain of the past, which is inevitable, but you're withdrawn from your own external environment, right? You're feeling uninspired, disillusioned, disappointed. Refocus on what makes you happy, Scorpio. That is going to help you get through the day. The Three of Wands, rethinking the golden future forward. What can you do? The plan, looking towards the new beginning. Again, in a power of, you're sort of manifesting it right now in a real powerful way. This is, the Three of Wands depicts that aftermath of having sort of struck out on one's own, right? You've definitely been, through it all, right? You're not aligned with so many things, and you're looking towards the future, and it feels scary, or you're compromising a life you've come to depend on, right? But you're making a choice to leave the comfort of your, home to something new, right? Where a new beginning and new learning is possible. And that's what's in your rethinking process here. You're learning how to do this. Justice here, balance is coming out. It's in reverse, Scorpio, because again, you're really struggling with this sense of justice for your own self. Your idea of truth about something could be distorted. You have to look at a situation from multiple angles to uncover the real truth here. Forgive yourself for whatever, decisions you made in the past that have got you to this point, right? This Ten of Swords, let go of this. In order to rebuild, you have to let go of this Ten of Swords. This painful, depiction of the rock bottom moment that you've been feeling for so long. The fourth step in the 12-step model for recovery includes making a moral and fearless inventory, right? It's a permission and encouragement to create that exhausting list of everything everyone's ever done to you that's causing harm or injury, or that you've done to them, right? And the aim is ambitious to clear the backlog of what's built up, and it releases ourselves once and for all from what's kept us pinned to the earth and stuck in the past, right? The practice of taking inventory is one of many possible first steps towards creating wounds that never received proper care, releasing what's ready to be let go. It's one of, using the power of thought to stimulate our emotions, right, on purpose and for healing. Doing so with discernment and with full permission to back off the moment it feels like too much, of course, right? We can sort of summon up those unresolved feelings in a way that is safe and empowered. That's what the Ten of Swords is. It's, they're laying out, they're being crushed with the weight of the swords, and we look at, this is how it can look when our life sort of feels, when we look at the thoughts and memories about things that are so powerful that they permeate our experience and drive, or in this case, limit our behaviors. But it's also about what it might look like to allow ourselves, despite a culture that's obsessed with moving on, to dwell properly in our losses so that we actually feel what needs to be felt and let go. This is what is in the rebuild here for you, Scorpio. Really doing so for Swords in reverse. That's why I feel like this is exactly what you're doing. You're really letting go. The pain that you've been holding on to, just like anchors to the bottom of the ocean, letting that go. If you're near exhaustion or burnout, that's what this sort of, indicates that right now you take time out to recharge your batteries. This is going to be exhausting. Go deep within. Use that, again, daily meditation to calm your mind and allow this change. You're changing the course of the pain here, and it's leading you to a beautiful healing and a new beginning. Until next time, namaste.